Hello everyone, welcome to Cole's Cozy Cradle. My name is Nicole and this channel is all about lifelike dolls and cozy vibes. So this beautiful chaos that you're looking at right here is my entire Paradise Galleries collection. And I just have to tell you that my accessibility technology on my phone that tells me, how many faces the camera can see and where they are has no idea what to do right now. It is freaking out. That's why I'm wearing earbuds. But anyway, I probably won't get to showing each and every one of them individually in this video, but I did have a request, a very thoughtful request for me to answer the Paradise Galleries Collector of the Month interview questions that they asked on their blog for their featured collector. Even though I'm definitely not one of their featured collectors, they did not ask me to do this. This came from a viewer because I do primarily have Paradise Galleries dolls at this point. So I'm going to answer those questions. I think that they're interesting and I think that it would be fun. So here they all are sitting right up here. And I'm going to feature individual dolls or small groups of them for different questions. And before I get into that, so I know that I showed this setup with like pretty baskets up there and the babies sitting in baskets and then a couple of them sitting in between. If you're wondering what happened to that, well, I have a cat. That's what happened to that. My cat loves to scratch. In fact, he is currently lounging on his cat tree right behind the camera, right beside me. So he decided that those baskets were awesome things to scratch, and he was just absolutely shredding the sides of them. And I knew that it was a matter of time before his claws went through my beautiful $50 a piece baskets and harmed the babies that were inside. So sometimes having an animal means that you can't have the nice things that you want. So that's what happened to that. Anyway, let's get right into the questions. Question 1. Do you remember your first Paradise Galleries doll? And what made it special to you? So joining me for this question is Andrew. He is the Paradise Galleries Noah doll, and he represents a baby with Down syndrome. And he, in a way, was my first. I feel like I kind of had two firsts, because first I had, actually over 10 years ago, I had Tall Dreams. And I loved her sculpt. I didn't love the wig that they were using at the time. And I definitely didn't love the body that they were using at the time. And I actually ended up changing the body. I didn't yet know how to change a wig, or I might have done that also. But I ended up having to let her go when I moved states to get married anyway. And she went to a beautiful and deserving mommy who just doted on her. But I think with her, it was kind of a disappointing experience, because at the time, Paradise Galleries was using some false advertising. They were calling their dolls reborns, and I knew what a reborn doll was, and I had held a handmade reborn in a doll shop, and I absolutely loved her. I think I could have just stayed there holding her for a really long time. So when I bought this Paradise Galleries doll, I thought that I was going to be getting something like that. And that's not what it was at all. I really didn't know anything about pricing or anything at that point, so the price point difference didn't tell me anything. So yeah, she arrived and she was just, a sweet little baby doll with a little beanbag bottom. She didn't feel like a real baby, which was what I really wanted. And now I reweight my dolls myself, and I actually learned because of her. I named her Sophie. Something that I would really love to do would be to get the Tall Dreams doll again and see what I think of her now. But moving on, about 10 years after that, in 2022, I won this sweet little one in a giveaway. And I had been looking at him and looking at other Paradise Galleries dolls for a little while, but I just couldn't make up my mind to try again. I was just too afraid after my experience with Sophie to try again. I was afraid that I just wouldn't love them. But this little one really caught my attention when Noah came out, when he was released, because I love representation of diversity in dolls, especially disability representation, because I think that every person wants to see themselves. I know I did as a little girl. For those who might be new, I'm totally blind, and I always had a doll, at least one, who was blind, sometimes a couple at a time. Not all of them, like I didn't do it with all of them, but I always would have like a special doll who was also blind in my imaginary play. And so, so he caught my attention, and so I entered the giveaway and I won, and I got him and I loved him immediately. I did also reweight him and change his body and stuff, but by then I knew how to do that, and I was just blown away by the jump in quality, the softness of his hair, the fact that it was rooted now, the much better body, even though I personally think that he needed a bigger one, and so I gave him one. Things like that. So little Andrew Reggie here was, for all intents and purposes, my first, and he is special because of where he came from, the beautiful, sweet, wonderful lady that I won him from, and also because of what he represents. And he's beautiful anyway. So that's what makes him special, and I consider him kind of my first now. Next question, what inspired you to start collecting Paradise Galleries dolls? So for this question, I have sweet Miss Lily. This is Lily Pearl. Oh, she's they're all precious to me, but this girl, she has a special place in my heart. They all do. Anyway, so even though I had Andrew, who was Sunny at the time, I actually had him as a girl for a really long time. Sorry. I still wasn't actively collecting Paradise Galleries dolls. I had a few here and there. And most of them I actually downsized when I moved again. And then after I moved up here and I started working, I kind of felt like I didn't have time for my doll hobby anymore. Like, my babies would go for really long periods of time with me just not doing anything with them. And that made me really sad. And I was like, oh, I should let them go because they deserve somebody who would have time to interact with them, etc., etc. But I hadn't made up my mind to do it. My two roommates here are also really, really, really good friends. And they both told me, give it 6 months. So I started working in late November, and in late January, I was really, really sad about something else. And I don't know why. I just did the random thing that you do, like, oh, I'm sad, I want to shop. And I decided to look on the Paradise Galleries website and see what was going on, because I hadn't looked at their dolls in a really long time. So I looked, and I looked at their new releases, and I saw Mariana. And that's who Miss Lily is. She's Mariana by Yanni DeLong. And one of my dear friends, my roommates here, her name is Anna. And I have another dear friend whose name is Mary. And I was like, oh my goodness, Mariana. And then I realized that AI descriptive tools have advanced to the point where I could have one of them describe what she looked like in her pictures. And that was amazing. That was just completely unheard of. And so I did that, and I just completely fell in love. And I just had to get her. And my 2 roommates wanted her too, so we actually got a Mariana who was a shared baby. And then later, when I knew that, we would be moving to different households at some point, I decided to get Lily, who is her twin. So Mariana is now shared between them, Mariana Joy, and then Lily Pearl is her twin cousin who lives with me. And the instantaneous joy that I felt when I opened her box and got her out just blew my mind. It was like all the joy of the doll hobby returned to me in one burst in the body of that little baby. And then there was another one, and then there was another one. So Mariana really started it all, and the joy and the personality that she was brimming with right out of the box really, really did it for me. And after that, it was like I couldn't stop. Like, I'd found these dolls that I could afford. Yes, I could modify them if I chose, but I could afford them, and I didn't have to be so careful with them. If I wanted to take one into bed to cuddle with at night, if that was all the time that I had, then I could do that, and I didn't have to worry about paint rubs, etc. And the freedom of that and the vibrant character of these dolls just kept me going. So Mariana Joy started it all. She inspired me to start actively collecting Paradise Galleries dolls. Next question, is there a particular doll that holds a special memory or story? This is so hard because every single one of them has a special memory or story. Like, every single one in my collection. There's not a single Paradise Galleries doll in my collection of now 12 that I don't pick up and go, oh yeah, this happened when they came, or oh, I got to do this really fun thing with them, or something, But Trevor here really stands out for this. Trevor is the Pumpkin Spice Nice doll from Paradise Galleries, and he was the second one. No. So after Mariana, I got Sleepy Star as a shared baby, again, between the 3 of us, and she's since kind of been like singly adopted by my roommate Amy because Amy had the strongest connection with her. But at the same time, I got Trevor for myself. And I had actually gone on the site to get Charlotte, who is by the same sculpting artist, and somehow had ended up with Trevor. It was just a complete last minute impulse. And after that, I was like, oh my goodness, what did I just do? What did I just do? What if I don't know if I'm going to like this doll. But I'd been looking at him, and he's the Pumpkin Spice Nice doll, and I love all things pumpkin spice. I love all things autumn. I just love that season. And so his theme really drew me to him. But at the time, I was going through something really difficult. I had to make a really difficult choice to stop doing something that I really enjoyed because someone else who was part of the small group that I was doing it with was making it very difficult for everyone. And I chose to no longer be a part of that. And a friend of mine also in the group kind of spoke up and said, wait a minute, how long has this been going on? And, he asked questions and things, and he said, well, if this person is causing difficulties for everyone, then they need to be the one to go. And I had never had anyone hear me say anything like that, hear me, say that someone's behavior was not right, and choose to stand up for me instead of the other person. And the friend who did this, his name is Trevor. And so I decided that if I liked the doll, then I would name him for this friend who stood up for me and stood up for really the whole group. Because that had a huge impact on me. I mean, after a lifetime of kind of being in situations where I was told, no, you're wrong, you're making it into something that it isn't, you shouldn't feel this way, this person doesn't mean to do this, blah, 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 just being gaslighted, to suddenly be heard. It was just overwhelming. And so I opened the box when he came, and I reached in and I felt the way his limbs were, and then I touched his face and his little open mouth, and I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna love this doll. And so I got him out, and as soon as I held him, I just cried. And I don't do that. I just don't do that. And I just instantly loved him, and I knew that he was my Trevor, and he's my Trevor Leaf. And yeah, every time I hold him, even now, that's what I think about. I think about how he got his name. And the implications of that are just so much broader than this one sweet baby doll. He's a reminder to me that I'm not always wrong if I see something that is wrong. I can be right. And that's huge. That's huge. When you've been through a lot of sort of relational trauma and things like that, that's major. So, yeah, that's Trevor's special memory. And like I said, they all had them. They all have them. But if I went through every single memory with every single doll, this would be like such an epically long video that I'd never be able to upload it. So, yeah, Trevor gets to be the highlight on this one. Next question. Do you have a favorite artist from Paradise Galleries? What do you guys think? Do I have a favorite one? Oh, okay. So a lot of you already know this about me, I'm sure. But absolutely my favorite sculpting artist from Paradise Galleries is Yanni DeLong. I love her babies. A friend of mine recently said to me, Yanni DeLong is like the Bonnie Brown of Paradise Galleries. She just has it. She just knows how to make her babies seem so realistic. And I have to absolutely agree. So these are my 4 Yanni DeLong babies right here. Corwin, Mariella, Noah, and Lily from left to right as you're looking at them. They are Snugglebug, Storytime, Puppy Pal, and Mariana. Now, I love Yanni DeLong's work. However, I don't have the urge to have all of her dolls because I don't like my dolls to share limbs. All of these have limbs that are unique to them in my collection, but shared with other dolls. So, like Mariella's limbs especially are shared with lots of other dolls. So, I have seen some of them and I like them a lot, but I don't want any more in my collection with these limbs. In fact, I had Little Firecracker and I loved him. Absolutely precious baby. But Mariella, I don't know, I got her and just that face, oh, just does something for me that few other dolls do. She's just, her little expression and the shape of her lips and her eyes and her nose and her forehead and just her cheeks and everything. So, and then my last Yanni baby that I just brought in is Puppy Pal. And his face really kind of reminds me of Little Firecracker. And so I kind of feel like now I get the best of both worlds again. You know, I get that sweet face without the limb sharing. And I love all of these dolls from head to toe. I just love them. So Yanni DeLong is my favorite artist by far. I do have other favorites. I love Pat Moulton often. I love her babies. I like a number of Lauren Faith James babies. I do have 3 of them, and I have 2 Pat Moultons. I have 2 Ping Laos even. And she is not top of my list for favorite artist usually. So with her, it has to be a very special doll that grabs my attention. But yeah, Yanni DeLong by far is my favorite artist. Next question, is there a particular theme or type of doll that you're drawn to? So joining me for this question are Anna, who is Krabby Cakes by Ping Lao, and Zachary, who is Frog Prince by Pat Moulton. And they are kind of the opposite of what I would have expected to be drawn to. Not so much Zachary. If I had just been asked this question in particular without having experienced these dolls, I would have said that Zachary probably would have had too much hair because I would have said realism. And I would have said that I didn't know how I felt about Anna's big, grumpy expression. But actually, I got to see these dolls in person before I brought Anna or Zachary home. They came home together, and I actually think that they pair together beautifully as brother and sister. And so I would say that the thing that draws me is strong character mixed with realism. So these little expressions that they have are quite realistic. They are not your sort of traditional, gentle, sweet, peaceful expressions like you just saw in all of my Yanni DeLong babies. And I love those too. I really do. But strong character. If I can sense a strong character or personality in a doll or imagine it for them, then I'm going to be drawn to them. So that's true of just all kinds of sizes and ethnicities and hair and eye colors and just all types of dolls. So that's what I'm drawn to. Next question. You guys, I think we might actually get all of the babies into this video. So anyway, have you connected with other doll collectors through your hobby? So joining me for this one are sweet little Haven Nicole. She is Daisy May by Ping Lao, and she's snuggling with her little baby brother, Solace David, who is Mommy's Little Man by Pat Moulton. And the answer is absolutely yes. I'm not even just talking about Paradise Gallery's dolls at this point. I'm talking about all doll collecting. I have absolutely connected with people through this hobby. Some of my best friends are fellow doll collectors that I got to know because of making content like this. My 2 roommates, I got to know them because I did a little giveaway a long time ago on this channel and Amy won. And so I met both of them because of that. Specifically with Paradise Gallery's dolls, my amazing friend Alex has a twin to my Andrew, another Noah sculpt, and his name is Dylan. Hi, Auntie Alex and Cousin Dylan. And she got him because of my Noah, who was then called Sunny and was a girl. She got her Dylan because of that. And she reached out to me and we started talking through email. And then, we kind of moved on to like WhatsApp and stuff. And now she's one of my best friends. And she is, she's not only my friend, but she's my sister in Christ. And she has just uplifted me through some of the hardest times that I've ever experienced in my entire life. And that goes way beyond doll collecting, just way beyond. So, and there are so many other stories like that I could tell. So, absolutely, I have connected with other doll collectors through this hobby, and I continue to. And that is totally a huge part of what makes it worthwhile. Yep, we're gonna do it. We're gonna get all the babies in this one video. That's super cool. Okay, so last question, and joining me for this one are my sweet Courtney Faith and Bryony Ruth. And Courtney is Rexy, and Bryony Ruth is Nora. And they are both sculpted by Lauren Faith James. So, the last question is, what does the doll community mean to you? And this is another big one. The doll community, to me, means an opportunity to connect with people who love the art and the innocence and the fun and the beauty and playfulness of these dolls. It means the opportunity to make friends with people who often, we have so much more in common than just dolls. It means not feeling alone in a hobby that is definitely not considered mainstream yet. It means getting to be around people in person or virtually who aren't going to question your sanity when they find out that you have dolls, because they have them too. It means that if this is the first thing that someone knows about you, they're not going to automatically go, well, what's wrong with you? Or they're not going to look at you and think that you're childish. That is what the doll community means to me. So that's all the questions. And I actually did. I got all the babies in there. Wow. So that is my entire Paradise Galleries collection, you guys. So thank you all so much for watching and listening. I hope that this was as fun for some of you as it was for me. And I know that there are a number of you out there who are also Paradise Galleries collectors. So if you would like to share some of your own stories in the comments, I would love to hear them. So until next time, take care everyone, be kind, and God bless you all. Bye.